tonight. This is the start of 4 town hall meetings that we're going to have, 4 at a minimum throughout the year, and as we rotate around the county. Most of you probably know it, but you're sitting or standing in post 1, which is Mr. Davis' post, and we will make sure that we have a meeting in every post. I want to open in prayer, and if anybody has an objection to that, I will give you a brief opportunity to just step out. But that's one of the most important things to me, is that we look to a higher power, and so we'll do that this time. Heavenly Father, sometimes it's good just to be still and be quiet and know that you're God and that we are your creations, that hopefully try to do your will. And we pray tonight that our conversations and our questions and our expressed concerns and sharing of communication would be pleasing in your eyes. I just thank you for these people and their willingness to come out and contribute to their county. Thank you for giving us as staff and as board members the opportunity to lead, and we just humble ourselves before you in that endeavor. And we pray these things in Christ's name. Amen. So I'm going to, I've asked the staff that's here as they come up and they know what sequence they're in to give you a brief overview of their position and some of their education, and try to keep each of our comments to 2 minutes, and we'll save the majority of the time remaining for whatever's on your minds, questions to ask, and that's how we'll proceed tonight. And I just said, talk to the citizens here about the things that you're most excited about in Paulding County government. The 3 things that I'm most excited about is we're working toward 24/7 government. Some counties nearby us have that. It's a matter of upgrading your software and your computer systems. And, you know, honestly, Paulding County is catching up. So we are working on the software standardization among our departments. We are working on the process so that if you apply for a business, it's quick and smooth and friendly. And I'd also like to add, if any of y'all has had a bad experience with starting a business here, I would like to know about it. I'd like to take down your name and have the opportunity to kind of interview you and see what problems you faced. So that's something I'm excited about, is making it easier to do business in Paulding County. I'm excited about highways because you may not, my wife and I are not on sewer and we're not on water. We've got a well, we've got a septic tank. So we don't use those things, but we certainly use the highways a lot, and we all do, don't we? So we want to have mobility, and we don't want to be stuck in traffic. We'd rather use that time with our family or in whatever we want to spend our time doing in our community. There's a lot going on transportation-wise. I'm not going to steal George Jones, our transportation director's thunder, but we've got a lot of transportation needs and a lot of exciting things going on there. So the last thing I would say is economic development. When you hear that term thrown around, it really goes back to number 1, business applications. That is part of economic development. But we want to be more aggressive in how we pursue companies to come and locate in our beautiful county, not in our green space part of it, but in industrial parks that we can open up and provide opportunities for, so that our kids and our grandkids may be able to stay here and get a job. So with that said, I'm going to introduce my assistant first, and but Tony's here now. You didn't bring the donuts.
I did.
Oh,
That's right.
Somebody. This gentleman right here, Ernest, he wants to meet you, so
I won't meet
he
you.
lives in your post. But I'm privileged to have Angela Ferris, my assistant, here tonight. I'd like to introduce her. And I'd like to introduce our county clerk, Rebecca Meredith, who just does a stand-up job in all the record keeping and everything that I don't see how she doesn't. And I was going to introduce Tabitha, but I'll just introduce our county administrator, who's still fairly new with us. It's hitting a home run every week I've watched him. And you just tell us just 30 seconds about you and then what you're excited about.
My name is Frank Baker. I'm happy to be here. Where I went to school was Town Creek Elementary up in Lexington Park, Maryland. The reason why I did that, I told Dave I was going to do that a little earlier. If you watch Monday Night Football, in between, you get the guys that go, I'm Chevy Jones, I'm from Clemson University. And you always have somebody that says their elementary school because they want to give props to the elementary school. But anyway, I actually went to Kennesaw when it was Kennesaw College, not Kennesaw State University. And so it's a long time ago, but I'm the county administrator, and I'm really excited to be here and to be the county administrator right now because we've got a lot of exciting things going on. And what we're doing right now is we're looking where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. And that process is really important for us to do. And we're seeing a lot of changes, and we've got a lot of energy. What we're trying to do is we're trying to serve two stakeholders. That's you and internally our staff. And that's what we're doing in the evaluation process right now with all our departments. And like Dave said, we're looking at our business license applications, how we're getting permits and things like that. So we're doing a comprehensive look at everything, trying to make it better and easier for the folks that are doing business with us and the folks that are working for us. And so we're trying to get those jobs going to meet the needs of our citizens and the community that we serve. And anyway, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Scott Green. I'm the Director of Operations. Most of y'all probably know me from my days in transportation. I've worked in transportation for 28 years, 14 with the state and 12, 13, I guess, with the county government now. I went to school at Southern Poly in Marietta. I went to elementary school. I don't know how many elementary schools I went to. Topatopa, Compton, and Powder Springs. Anyway, that doesn't matter. And I originated in California. I was a beach boy. I grew up in the sand of Southern California, but my dad was a Georgia boy. And he sent us back here every summer of our lives to visit our family. And I just love trees. I love green. I love seasons. So I moved back and finished school here and met my wife in Marietta and made my home here in Paulding County. So it's been a great place to work. I'm fortunate to have recently changed roles to a Director of Operations role. It's a coordinator. I work for Frank Baker, our new county administrator, and I coordinate with some of the departments, but my role is really to look for ways to help the county become more efficient, to anticipate future issues we're going to be running into, and try to get ahead of the problems and not react. We've been in such a reactionary role with our budgets and things taking control of us. We need to take better control of our future. And with more decision making and coordinating, I think we can help do that with our county forward. Other than that, we're here to answer questions. Our department heads are going to speak to you for a few minutes about some of the things going on in their areas, and we'll be here for questions and answers. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Darrell Vaughn. I'm the Assistant Director of Paulding County Water System. I went to Southern Poly, like Scott. Now Kennesaw State has been gobbled up by Kennesaw State University. But I'm the assistant to Lori Ashmore, our director. In my mind, I'm the assistant director, but she keeps telling me I'm assistant to the director. I kind of feel like the White Case Shrew. So Lori and I have a lot of offsetting strengths and weaknesses, where she's more outward focused, dealing with the Board of Commissioners and the reservoir and public outreach. I'm more inward focused, so I'm on a day-to-day basis, I'm focusing on projects, dealing with pipes, pumps, and tanks. And as you may well know, we've got a lot of projects going on in the community, namely the reservoir, our 36-inch finished water main that you may have seen coming down Highway 61, and our new project that's in the design phase, that if you live along Bobo Road, Macklin Road, or Mount Tabor Church Road, you'll be highly interested in this project. This is our Mount Tabor pressure zone, where we're creating a new higher pressure zone, so that if you experience low water pressure at the moment, in a few years, hopefully 2.5 years, you'll have a lot better pressure. So be happy to answer any questions, try to answer any questions about the reservoir or the new pressure zone.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ann Lippman, and I'm the Community Development Director. And you may ask, what is community development? And I tell people the short answer is that we let people build things. We facilitate development on behalf of the government. So we're over planning and zoning, development division, building and permits, and as of next week, we will be taking over business licenses. I have an undergraduate degree from the University of Georgia and a master's degree in city and regional planning from Clemson University. I was hoping for my two teams to be playing in the national championship. It didn't quite happen. And Georgia didn't quite beat Alabama, but anyway. Biggest thing in our department, residential building has come back. And since 2010 in Post 1, there have been over 1,100 single-family residential building permits issued. Post 1 is typically right behind Post 4 in the number of permits, even though I hate to say it, Tony, you win. About 60% of the permits are in Post 4. Some things going on in Post 1. Martin's is coming in Post 1, racetrack, and there's currently an expansion to Aspen Village Memory Care Center. And just be happy to answer any questions about anything going on building-wise in the county.
Good evening. My name is George Jones. I'm the Director for the Department of Transportation. I was appointed director about 2 months ago, taking over for some unknown guy, trying to basically correct his mistakes. Beach Boy. The Beach Boy, yeah, there you go. I've heard about it. But no, seriously, obviously we're the DOT. We take care of roads, bridges, trails, maintenance of roads. Obviously, transportation plays a daily part in our lives. It's a huge part of our life. Let's face it, we don't go anywhere without transportation. I'd like to talk to you about a couple of projects that we have going on. Right now, obviously, we're working on 2 bridges on Dallas-Acworth Highway over Pumpkin Vine Creek and Pickett's Mill Creek. Those will be open, I believe, by the end of the year. We're having a project start on the outside, or on the outskirts of Post 1 right now, on East Memorial and 61 in Dallas, adding a right turn lane there. So hopefully that will help that intersection immensely. In Post 1, we've got 3 other projects that are going to be starting design work or different phases of design work. Currently, we have dual roundabouts being designed at the intersection of Bobo Road, Mount Tabor, and Bobo Road, Macklin Road. We have a intersection project at the intersection of Dallas-Acworth Highway, Mount Tabor Church Road, and Fry Road, which will basically realign the side streets and cut down the skew, or cut down the hill on Dallas-Acworth Highway to provide better sight distance. And let's see, we also have a project that's going to be let out this summer at the intersection of Highway 120 and East Paulding Drive to add a left turn lane at the signal and basically change the signal phase and provide the ability of more cars to get through there. Right now, if anybody goes through there, it backs up, especially during the AM time period. My educational background, I'm a graduate of Southern Polytechnic State University with advanced civil engineering, and I also have a 2-year degree, associate's degree in civil engineering from Vermont Technical College. And like I said, I'll be available to answer any questions that y'all may have. Thank you.
So you can see we've got some quality department heads. That's just a sampling. That's 3 of 18. And I see that our finance director is going to come in. So Tabitha, if you'll stand up and raise your hand. Her outfit, her group has gotten awards over the years that will take us till the end of the night to talk about. But again, as I said earlier, this is Commissioner Davis's geographical area. There's 4 geographical areas. And fortunate tonight to have all 4 of the post commissioners and all 5 of our board commissioners here. So not in any particular order, but I'd like to give Mr. Poundell, we'll start from the back. Todd, would you like to say anything what excites you about what's going on in the county?
I'll say hello. Glad you guys came out this evening. Look forward to whatever question you folks have, and I think we got a good staff here that'll be able to answer most of those. I'm Todd Poundell, Post 2 Commissioner, and we got a lot of great things going on in Paulding County right now, but what excites me the most is we've recently got Frank Baker and Scott Green in the positions that they're in, and it allows all the Post Commissioners and the Chairman Dave, we're all just working well together, getting some things done. They've got project list, and I told them both when we got them in their place, I told Frank, I said, you better go out and buy a new pair of tennis shoes because you're going to need them, and both of them guys have been doing a great job. So we're looking forward to the future. So thank you all for coming out tonight.
And staying not in any order or coming from the back to the front. So, Tony, would you like to say anything?
I'll just say I'm Tony Crow, Post 4 Commissioner. And there is a lot of exciting things going on in the county. I also would like to brag on Frank a little bit. Scott, because Scott's old news, he's always been good, and Frank's on board, he's doing a great job. I just left a GDOT meeting over at Old Paulding School where they were talking about closing off possibly down Bridge Road, taking the road across and going roundabout, and that was really interesting to me, how they're going to change the traffic flow. That's going to help the school, it's going to help that area. But like I said, this is Ron's show, this is Post 1's town hall. We're not going to steal any thunder from him.
And Post 3 is Mr. Collette, kind of around the Hiram area.
Yeah, my name's Bernie Collette. I'm Commissioner Post 3, the best post.
That is the baby.
And I too, just like him, man, I'm so glad to have Frank and Scott on board in the position they're in now, because ever since they come on board, I've seen them start to move forward, and it's perfect timing. Because the way the economy is, the last couple of years, it's been slow, nothing's been growing, and commercial lags behind residential. Now we see residential picking up, so hopefully in the next year we'll get more commercial industry, and it's perfect time to try our new setup.
And Mr. Davis is over this area, so Ron, you can talk as long as you want to.
You're not going to try to stop me?
It's your post. I won't try to do anything.
Well, welcome to Post 1, everybody. My name is Ron Davis. I'm Post 1 Commissioner, and despite what Tony might want you to think, this isn't my show. Dave has put this together. I was elected in March 2016 and kind of became the town hall guy. And when Dave got elected, he said, I want to make town halls a regular thing. Let's get information out. This is a good idea. And so Dave, I'd like to just say thank you here for making town halls and making this type of a forum a priority in your administration. I also thank all the Post Commissioners for being here. I think it's great. We've got a small room, a good crowd, and all 5 commissioners and some department heads. And if you have a question about your county, you can get it answered here tonight. So I think that's one of the things that I'm really excited about is that we're moving towards that active accountability, so to speak, and getting information out to people. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the county. Dave's mentioned a good bit of it. Some of the other commissioners mentioned some things too. Transportation is good. We should also thank Dave for his patience a little bit last year. We spent a good time looking for a county administrator, and the discussion went back and forth, and I know Dave got frustrated with the duration of that discussion, but I think the timing was right on it, and I think we got the right people and the right jobs. As Vernon said, residential's starting to come back. Commercial's going to follow that, and I think we're going to be in a good place to have some people in line to be able to help get some projects taken care of. I want to ask some questions, because they might not let me ask questions. So Ann, there's construction going on in the corner at Crossroads next to AutoZone. I'm sure people would like to hear about that. And Frank, if you could mention maybe some of the stuff we've looked at with Weatherport. Just a brief overview. And I think that's all I have for right now. I'm not going to talk any longer because Dave's a Marine. He might actually try to keep me from there. So I'll sit down.
Very old Marine.
Once a Marine, always a Marine, right, Dave? So thank you all for being here and for taking time out of your schedule tonight. Make sure if you have questions, make sure you get them answered. And if we absolutely can't get an answer tonight right here, I know that we have people who are writing down questions and can get back with you. So thank you all for being here tonight.
Thanks, Ron. So we've already got 2 questions from Ron, and I'd like to just say one thing in regard to what he stated. It's freed me up immensely to represent the county better at the state level, and even was on since y'all probably heard Trump last week in his infrastructure remarks, there was a teleconference across the whole nation that I was invited into, and I don't know that I would have had time to do that if I didn't have these new folks on board. And Scott and Frank and I got together the first week when they were both on board. We identified no less than 40 projects that were important to, as Scott put it, just the better working of government in our county to make life better for the citizens. Quality of life is really, I think, what our whole Board of Commissioners' ultimate goal is. So I know you have some more questions, but why don't you go ahead and answer the first one, and I'll kind of direct this.
We're excited about a lot of things, as we've been saying. One of the things that came to my attention was White Oak Park, and we have some beautiful parks in Paulding County. I'm not a native of Paulding County. I was born in Marietta, and I'm actually retired from Cobb County. Came out here about 5.5 years ago to work for Judge Tony Beavers, and I've liked it so much that I actually moved here about 1.5 years ago. But White Oak Park is just a fantastic location. It really is, and I'm an avid cyclist. I get out on that Silver Comet Trail and put about 2,300 miles of gear on that thing with my wife, and do a lot of running, and so I'm really into the outdoors. And so it's brought to my attention that we were having some issues with the path around, the walk around path and the running path, and there's some erosion going on and some drainage issues. So with the help of our Parks Director and help of Scott, we're taking a look at that, and we're looking at the possibility of correcting that drainage and possibly even trying to pave it rather than put down the material that we're using right now. Because if you take it and you look at it from the perspective of where you've been and how much you've spent on it and how much you're going to have to spend to get it back where it was, paving makes a lot of sense. So that's something that's on our radar. We're going to continue to look at that, and we're excited about it. So I'm going to turn it over to Amy.
My answer is pretty short. The development on Cedar Crest will contain an Arby's, a Moe's, and a pet supply store.
That's exciting.
Okay, so we'll open the floor up. I was at a town hall with Tanya here out at Mount Olivet, and it's easy for the conversation to kind of get national, and I know Kyle's got something on his heart that has to do with that, the security in the school and all. There's not a lot the Board of Commissioners can do other than try to be influential in the school board and things like that. But we'd still like to hear your thoughts. And but I would rather y'all try to address to our department heads the question that you have pertaining to transportation, the road system, the traffic lights, community development, and water. So yeah, just stay seated.
Okay. At Macklin Road and Charles Hardy, if you're coming from Windy Hill, turns into Macklin. When it hits there in the evenings, there's no right turn lane to get on the Charles Hardy. The traffic backs up for a mile and a half when it gets busy. And we looked at maybe possibly putting in a right turn lane there, or maybe extending the left turn lane as well to get some more traffic pulling through.
I'll have to look at the plans, but the state has a widening project for Macklin Road. It's been shelved right now. We need to look at that, but I'm sure that was part of it.
One other thing is, I got a daughter fixing turn 16. So I live on Old Griffin, right behind the Dodge dealership in that Bears Bend. So I don't want her turning left on Charles Hardy. That's dangerous. It's very dangerous. Is there any way we get around it?
Any being that's a state highway, any permit for a traffic signal have to go through the state of Georgia. You have to basically do a traffic study, show that there's a need for a traffic signal or another type of traffic control. Lately, what the state has been doing, they've been doing other types of control rather than a traffic signal. They've either been looking at roundabouts or it's a new intersection design called an R-cut. I don't know if you've heard of that or not, but down at the 278 South Main Street. That is a arc cut. Basically, you're forced to come out of the intersection and turn right and then begin to turn down the road. So,
I think there's too much traffic for a roundabout.
but that's, there's a policy that the state uses, and so they're really looking at traffic signals right now.
So is there any way we could get that study underway to possibly?
We can definitely do a study, yeah.
Because
We haven't looked at that one for a while.
Because that's, for now, my daughter's turning left going up there, but she just don't go a long way around because I'm not, I guess her turning left.
And he didn't say, roundabout, he said R cut.
But yeah, he said a roundabout now.
And,
Okay.
basically the state, you have to look at all these different intersection controls and determine which ones will be the best for that intersection. So, we will do a study and then basically forward the results to the state and see what their decision is. Yes, I'm going to give you my card afterwards.
Okay.
Tanya?
Mine is basically the same thing. I live off of Hunter Road and 92.
Yes, ma'am.
Right past the food depot. And now that they're getting ready to widen that street, literally at Hunter Road, before they widen the street, there have been several, I've been living there for 10 years now. There have been several accidents right there where you're turning up and turning onto Hunter Road. And I live in the Hunter Road subdivision. But now that they're widening that street, now that they're coming, as you just made the penalty, it's a state situation that's getting a light. Is there a possibility y'all can look at that? Because there have been several accidents for people waiting to turn left, and accidents have happened for people waiting to turn left. But now that they're widening that road, is there a possibility of a light being put right there on Road 92?
Right, as you know, there's an active project right now for starting construction.
George, excuse me. So everybody can understand what you're answering, because you're not facing the camera. Can you kind of repeat what you think she was asking about?
Certainly. You're basically asking about putting a traffic signal at the intersection of 92 and Hunter Road. As you know, right now, there's an active construction project. I'll have to look at the plans. There's no traffic signal shown on these plans. I don't know what the intersection control is off the top of my head. I've reviewed the plans, but I don't remember what it is. Again, I'll look at my business card, and I can email, telephone, and we can discuss that further, and I can tell you what the state shows as their intersection control.
In the 10 years that I've been living here, there have been several, I was waiting to turn, and a guy almost hit me and ended up in the ditch.
92 is going to have a median along the whole roadway, so there's going to be a median up and down that whole section from Douglas County all the way to Nebo Road.
I'd like to capture these questions. I don't know if you're taking any notes, Angela. If you just get a phrase that will remind George, I'm sure he'll remember the actual location. Are you? All right. Ernest?
Hi, good evening. Got a couple questions, but number one, I'll start off with, if I can get information from everyone, contact information, if you got cards or anything like that, if you can maybe put them on the table, so we'll know how to get in touch with everyone. But the couple things I had in mind were potholes, and how do you get those fixed? Who's responsible for fixing them, and why does it take so long?
The Department of Transportation is responsible for fixing potholes in unincorporated Collin County on-county routes. It takes so long, to be honest with you, the sheer number of potholes out there. With the money we have, we pave the roads in a timetable that we don't necessarily have the money to repair and replace the roadway pave system as much as we need to. So our roads are deteriorating, and therefore we have more maintenance needs and more potholes. So you do have a list, call in, work order, email, and you're put on a list to have a pothole fixed. That's how we do it. And if you're having any period of time where you feel like you waited too long, I'd like to hear about that so we can try to address those issues.
I'm Carolyn Meyer. I live up in Yorkville. When the ice storm come in, with the 278 4-lane, then you got Gold Mine, the old 101. Why do it take so long for that road to get de-iced Because when we live down on 101, we come up and we can go down 101 all the way to Polk County and hit the 4 lane. But when you come around Goldmine and hit it, it's the last road to be de-iced.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's just so covered with trees and shady up there.
You got that little dip there too.
You know,
It comes down
it's, you know,
before it comes up.
They don't put no ice, no salt, no nothing. And then they'll come out 101 flying.
I will say it is actually on our priority list of roads. We have actually a list of roads that are called priority roads. We treat Goldmine Road is one of those. But again, I think the shade has a lot to do with it. We've noticed on roads where a lot of trees, it takes a long time for those to basically be de-iced compared to other roads that are very wide. You go to state highways, they're very clear. You don't have trees next to the edge of the road. They get more sunlight during the day, they thaw out.
So Griffin Road, having to go to Already Road. I'm talking about that, you know how it goes down the hill and around that curve? I've seen, like, during these recent storms, people sliding into that guardrail. I'm having to take my truck up there and get them unstuck.
And when I say priority road, I don't mean one road is more important than the other. I mean a priority in terms of it holds a lot of, basically carries a lot of traffic.
I'll try to tell people to turn out.
Yeah, I know what the curve you're talking
But
about.
then I guess they're so used to turning right, and they just leave, they turn right. It's 2 days, 3 days, everything's nothing. The road's not gonna do nothing. But unless temperatures get 45, 50 degrees, that curve's not nothing. No sun's gonna hit it.
You know, we're looking at projects right now, and again, it costs money though, basically to clear your roadsides and trees where you can actually get a path for the sun to hit. But again, it takes a pretty good amount of clearing to get to it.
I'm not asking you.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
It was a priority.
I'm just saying, going the other way, it's the same amount of trees. Only it's got more hills and curves when you go towards Rockmont on that. But when you come in this way on Dallas, Goldmine, come in same, it's the old road. But once before they put the 4 lane in. So you still got just as many trees going that way, going towards Rockmont as you do going towards Dallas, same thing. But when you, then 2 days later, you can leave the same and go towards Rockmont. That's the way I had to do this past one. I had to go to Rockmont, turn and hit the 4 lane and come out. Instead of hitting Goldmine like I used to and come that way. So it's the same amount of trees. That's why I'm just wondering why they're taking that road so long, that portion of 101, old 101, than it does the old other part.
I'll just say, you know, we do salt it, we do treat it. Again, I think, in my opinion, it is because of the shade. It just refreezes and stays frozen. But we're also looking at different technologies to try to treat our roads during storms. We're looking at basically pre-treatment systems where you spray brine on roadway systems. So that's something we're looking at right now. Again, it's, you know, there's a process to do it. So we're investigating.
Commissioner Crowe, I saw your hand go up. Do you have a comment or a question?
I was on her behalf to get some clarity. I think the question she was asking, why does it stay this way so long? You did a good job saying it's shaded and staying there. But when they, if I understand it correctly, you correct me, George, if I'm wrong, when even though you salted, because of the shade, it don't do the same job it does if it's in the sun. It's not that they're not salting it, it's just simply not working because of the shade. And I understand that. I don't.
But it's going the other way, the same amount of trees.
You think it is?
Yes.
It's just the way this, I don't know. I don't live over there. I know your area, but I don't know that much.
My name is Roland. I live off of East Poly Drive, off of Jordan Rockwood. I was concerned about the intersection of Dallas Highway and East Poly.
Yes,
Each time there's a bad weather, like ice or something like that, that little hill, I mean, it's so difficult to get up that hill, even though you see nothing, you know. Now, you can go down 92, and you kind of taking your time, you can go up the hill around those curves, but that little piece of street from the church to Dallas Highway, is there something wrong that causing the tire to spin so much down there, or
No.
the police have to always stop there and block cars from coming?
I think, you know, it's the grade that has something to do with it. We do treat it. Could we treat these roads more? Yes, we would take more, you know, manpower. We're looking at also equipping more trucks with, plows and also salt equipment to do more. Also, again, there's trees in that area too when you're coming from, is it Fortified Hills? Is that
No, it's right there.
coming
where
down
we have
towards?
Before 92 intersect Dallas Highway. It's a dead end because the shopping center across the street. You know what I'm talking about? East Spalding Drive.
Yeah.
I said 92.
Yeah, you said 90, yeah.
East Spalding and Dallas Highway.
Yeah, right there.
Dallas Highway, East Spalding.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
If
There's a-
ever,
there's a-
I mean,
yeah,
when
there's
you
a
got
church
bad
on top of
weather,
the hill. right.
okay, it's something going on down there, I'm telling you, because the police always sitting there because people start sliding. I mean, it's not a steep hill, not at all. But yet you cannot build up enough to go up that hill. You have to go around Walmart parking lot, come back around Lucia, and then make a left to come out. There's something going on in that area.
As you come up, from 120, as you go further up and you go past the shopping center there, Citizen Square Shopping Center, there's some shade there again, between the Citizen Square, the daycare, and the church on that hill. But it is a grade there, and it's probably more than what you think if you actually get out and look at it. And when you're going slow, you are going to have some issues when it's slippery out there. But again, hopefully, if we can get some grinding equipment in place, we will be able to help treat these roads better and maybe keep the ice down as much as possible. It's not a cure-all. It is just simply a way to help manage what we have. Again, when I first came to the county back in 2004, it seemed like we had a storm once every 3 years. Now we have 3 storms per year. So.
And I must admit that it was better this time around because I was able to get out of my driveway in 2 days compared to what happened 2 years ago. The streets were much better this time around, so something had changed at least.
George, when we're talking about East Spalding and 120, as you talk about the way changes, I think the board voted on it maybe last meeting.
Yeah, that's correct, Ron. At the last board meeting, we basically approved a development agreement with the developer they're going to build a racetrack on the northeast quadrant of the intersection. And as part of that agreement, we're going to work with the developer to put in their lanes to go into their development. And also, as part of our traffic signal improvements, we're going to put in a 175-foot left turn lane at the intersection of 120 and East Spalding Drive. So you're going to actually have a left turn lane coming out onto 120 going towards Cobb County, and then a shared through going across the road into the little shopping center left. So it's going to be a shared through left. So looking at the capacity analysis, it's basically improve and reduce the delays in the morning time immensely by 100 seconds per vehicle. So it's going to be a huge improvement. I don't know that. Is that right? Well, good deal. I don't know about that. I just know about our project. We believe that we're going to get state approval sometime the next 2 months, and we'll start sometime after that.
Yes, up at 120 and 101 up there in the Rover Store area, that traffic is bad in the morning, turning, and it backs up a couple miles each way. Is there anything in the future they're going to do for that?
We actually have a active project right now. It's under design, and it's put in a roundabout at that intersection. Yes, we will. It's a good project. Again, we've looked at it. We've run capacity analysis. It shows a very big improvement in safety and reducing wait time.
Let's go back here, see and ask a question.
Okay, because I go that way to take my daughter to Union. There's a lot of 18-wheelers that comes through, flying through. We can be sitting and trying to turn into going to her school. And an 18-wheeler actually went around us, a bunch of cars sitting on the side turning into school, went around us, and then met a Paulding County Sheriff head on. Paulding County Sheriff did not do anything. And the 18-wheeler could have hit some other cars. And it's another accident. There's no police cars sitting there at Union for parents to, direct parents into the school, and then we coming out, then we see an 18-wheeler coming from Villa Rica flying through. When we try to get out, we got to hit our, drive real fast to get out and get on without getting hit. And a grandparent actually got hit by an 18-wheeler and tore up her car. And that is like really scary because there's no easement over so that the cars can come, turn in and go down by the church if it's wrong traffic. Because you just sitting there on the edge of the road praying to God that an 18-wheeler does not come flying beside you and wreck your car or try to hit another car while dodging it. So is there anything y'all can do to give us a little limit on that side without trying to get hit?
Is that two? Those two? Yeah, you're talking about in front of
Union Elementary.
Union Elementary.
Yeah, you know how when they got it where we can go down by the church now, you can like keep the cars being in the traffic in the lane. You go down by the church and make a U-turn and come back and you pull into school. But if you get there too late, your car is sitting out in the middle of the road.
Because you can't turn in the road.
You can't turn in the road because all the cars are now that filled at that spot, and you got 18-wheelers driving like bad out of crazy, and these dirt gravel trucks with gravel trucks driving crazy, going around instead of sitting there and wait because they got to make their time limit. And if they sit there and wait, they're going to get hit. And then when the buses come out, if the buses don't get out quick, they're going to get hit. So there's a lot of congestion right there. Plus at the footway stop, because that gas station being there now, it added more traffic right there. So now I have to leave a couple of minutes early to get my daughter to school on time.
I will say that the county, we've worked with the school district at some of these schools to look at circulation issues to see if we can move it and not have people back up onto the highway. That may be an issue that we can talk with them about and see if they have any suggestions.
Because they don't pay attention to that 35 miles an hour speed sign.
Ernest, did you have another question?
Yes, and maybe we can give transportation a minute to get his breath. What I want to talk about, and I hope I'm not offending anyone really, but I hear us talking about economic development. There was something a couple of years ago about doing something or expanding that airport. It was shut down. I think there were two commissioners, this is just what I read in the paper, two commissioners got on board, shut it down. Now, to me, I look at that as economic development. I understand the fact that we want to stay rural a little bit, but I look at the dollars that were brought into the county, and I'm just a little confused as to why that didn't happen. Now, that's not a question for you, is it?
No.
Okay, good. I just want to give you a but I just don't know what happened there and why we didn't get that money. I mean, why didn't we take advantage of that?
That's a hard store on that land, isn't it?
No, not anymore. They own 9,000 plus acres.
That's a good question. I'd also like to know why there's no expansion. Some bringing businesses, plants, industries, housing.
There are some lawsuits that are pending further development. The Board of Commissioners unanimously support the airport development. General aviation, my career is in aviation. So,
I go please.
love to. I don't know exactly, Ernest, which delay that you're referring to, or what you read in the paper, how long ago it was.
Well, what I read was that the thing was being already hired the administrator or a person to run the airport. And it looked like it was a goal as far as making it a secondary airport or an overflow airport for Hartsfield Jackson. And what I read in the local paper was there were two commissioners that got elected, and their first line of duty was to stop that particular project. Now, and again, I just don't know. It's just trying to understand that we want economic development, and that really seems like a win, that it would have been a win for the county to me. So I'm just trying to figure out why that didn't happen.
Well, I would encourage you, so you're in Commissioner Crow's.
I think you told me 20.
That's Commissioner Crow. He lives 2 miles north on 61 out of Dallas.
Yes, that's
Yeah, toward Bart Hickory.
Right.
So I would encourage you to just have a conversation with him so he understands better what your concerns are.
As far as the expansion, that still on hold or whatever, what is the expansion?
Well, part of the expansion is to bring in commercial aviation, which by definition is ticketed passengers on a regular schedule during the week. So you have to apply to the Federal Aviation Administration in order to get that. And some commissioners in the past have been for it. I'm personally for it. But some commissioners are not, don't want that level of service at our airport. So, there's been...
Are there any commissioners, current commissioners, against it? Not that I'm knocking on for being against it, I just want to know the reason why you would do it.
Well, that's why I would rather one-on-one. I'm more than willing to answer the questions that I can answer. And Commissioner Powell and I actually had the benefit of sitting with the Southeastern FAA Director, Stephen Hicks, back last July. And our airport is overseen by two entities, the Board of Commissioners, that all of us tonight, and the airport board. And the Federal Aviation, since we're co-sponsors of the airport, both entities need to help make the decisions out there, jointly make decisions. Since there's disagreement on that particular aspect of aviation progress, that's not going to be an option. And, Mr. Pine can speak for himself. He and I talked out in the parking lot after that meeting. We both understood that that's not the type of aviation that's going to be permitted by the FAA until these lawsuits are finished and until other things are settled and we can work more jointly together. I think that's a fair answer.
What was the whole point of the vote? When everyone said there were signs everywhere, vote no for commercial airport.
I'm going to take just a couple of minutes and
It
somewhat
didn't make
answer.
sense. This is going to bring business to our county.
I'm going to take just a couple of minutes, if you'll allow me, to answer just a couple of your questions. It will probably make you have more questions, but I don't want it to track down that road too far because this is close to one town hall, and I don't want us to do too much down that road right now. But I'm willing to answer any questions concerning the airport, Halton County General Aviation Airport, anytime, anywhere, with anybody.
Well, I think the airport kind of is represented by every post just because it's, say, the post 1 or post 2 or post 3. I think every member of the county has interest in that airport, so I don't think that just the post 1 town hall say it's not the place to talk about it.
Well, let me rephrase that. I'm willing to answer any question, anytime, any place, in front of anybody. I have studied it hard over the last 4.5 years, since October 3rd, 2013, at 11 o'clock at night, when I found out about it on the news. So I can share a lot of information with you, but you have to have a lot of time and be willing to sit down, and you would have a lot to hear, and I will be glad to do that anytime, any place.
And I'm not saying like I said, I'm for it. I'm not saying I'm right. Maybe you're against it. You're against it. And if you tell me what's going on and the pros and cons, maybe then I'll be against it.
So I'm going to give you just a little bit, and then I'll be glad to answer some questions after everybody else gets done. But I can't sit back there and hear some of it and at least not give you a little bit of information, and then we can go on another time if it works out. So all 5 commissioners are 100% on board for General Aviation Airport out there, which is what it was said to be to begin with. In 2000,
If I describe what General Aviation Airport is.
well, can I finish this up?
Yeah.
And because I know it's going to go down, and I really don't want to hold the floor for an hour, because even that we won't be done. All 5 commissioners support General Aviation 100%. And all 5 commissioners, I believe, will continue to. That's what the airport was built for, and that's what the people were told was going to happen out there at the General Aviation Airport. In October and November of 2012, there were some contracts done with a private company. In those contracts with the private company, those contracts were done between the private company and the airport authority. They were done without the Board of Commissioners having a vote. Okay? There may have been some commissioners that were for it, but there was no public vote. We're not allowed to do that. So what happened was they signed up, the airport authority signed up with this company. And basically, this company is going to get 97.5% of the proceeds. And the airport authority is going to get 2.5%. And some people say, well, what about that 2.5%? The 2.5% stays at the airport with the airport authority. It cannot come to the Board of Commissioners. It cannot be done anything to change your taxes. Can't do the school system, can't do anything. So he's going to get to 97.5. The airport authority is going to get 2.5. I can go into it for hours. I've been educated on it a whole lot more than I ever thought I would be after October 3rd, 2013, 11 o'clock at night. I've got the history on it, and I'll be glad to talk to anybody, anytime, any place, and be glad to share the facts with you. The Board of Commissioners, right now there are 4 post-commissioners that do not agree with commercialization. And one of the reasons is that we don't believe in it. Number 1 is because the way it was done was not done in the light. Number 2, the reason we don't believe on it is it's going to be a burden on the taxpayers, and we don't have the infrastructure to do it. And we can show you where over the next 5 and 10 years, there's going to be $15, $20, $25, $30 million that they're going to expect you to pay out there. The money that comes into that airport, that private company will have the say-so on any FAA money that comes into that airport and how he and his company wants it to be spent. The projects that they want, period, cut and dry, and how things are paid back. And he's first in line, and y'all are second in line. And in my book, the citizens need to be first in line in anything that we do, and that's just the way it is. So I really don't want to, I've got the history, and I'm not bragging about that. I'm just telling you, sometimes when you're thrown in the middle of something, you learn a lot, and I'll be glad to sit down anytime, any place, and we can talk, and I can share it with you, and maybe we can set up something where we can talk about just that issue. And I think that's, we've tried to make sure that we do what we need to do for the citizens, work together as a board with Mr. Carmichael to make sure that we focus on these other things. There are a lot of things in the court system. It's not just up to the court system, and it's not going to be just up to the court system to get this resolved. Sir? So, and I appreciate it, and love to talk to you afterwards. I'll be glad to have a cup of coffee. Be great. No problem at all. Thank you all very much.
So, thanks, Todd. I'm in favor of commercialization of airports. I will make that clear. I'm also willing to talk to you at any time, anywhere about why I am. And that's been my background. If you want to Google something, Google Georgia airports mean business. Georgia airports means business. And that'll give you a 10-minute overview of the number of jobs that come into an airport, the tax revenue that's generated, and
that was my thinking. Is that no matter if we make any money off of that airport, it's the money that it's going to bring in. But like I said, we can end the airport discussion. We can talk about it afterwards. I can talk to you. You're not supposed to discussion.
Dave, you had started to talk, before we get off the airport conversation, you had started to talk about what general aviation means. It's not just a hobbyist pilot flying a single engine plane. We can do business out there right now as it is general aviation. So please don't, please do kind of get into that a little bit. You've got the career at aviation, so maybe you can explain more specifically what general aviation can include. But before you do that, I do want to reiterate, it's been said by a couple of us, all 5 commissioners are wholeheartedly in support of general aviation, supporting the general aviation airport, getting businesses to use that airport to support their business and grow their business, and bring money into the county and employ people here in the county. We are 100% in favor of doing that. We have a couple of points where we disagree, but when it comes to that statement that we all support general aviation at that airport. We all do, in fact. So David, Jim.
Yeah, we'll just hit on a couple of three things. And I reiterate that Stephen Hicks, who's over the whole southeastern United States, Federal Aviation Administration, he has made it clear that they will not consider commercialization. They will process that application, consider that application that was submitted until both co-sponsors are jointly in favor of it. So, you've got some people here in the room that are running for office, and it's really not an issue. Commercialization is not an issue because until the courts have settled the litigation process, and until both these co-sponsors jointly approve it, we don't even need to discuss it. What we do need to do is what Ron said, is strongly promote, energetically, enthusiastically, positively promote what general aviation can bring. I flew airplanes to Greenville, South Carolina for years to have the aircraft inspected. It's not like changing your oil every 3,000 miles. When you get 500 hours on an airplane, if you don't fly it and get it inspected or have somebody come in and inspect it, it's grounded. So there's a lot of commercial business there. There's a lot of high-paying jobs there by repairing and doing the checks on these aircraft. Cargo comes under general aviation. If there's a large aircraft, the same size that would fly commercial passengers, that wants to take a senior group in their church to Branson, Missouri and fill this 737 up, that is general aviation. It's not a commercial flight. It's not a ticketed, 3 times a week flight.
We have to extend runway.
No, the runway 6,000 feet down. I drove around it yesterday, and it's fine for that. So it needs to be made clear that if we are really going to support general aviation, we are supporting passenger flights, cargo flights possibly, and then all these other aircraft service operations, because some of it will look just the same to somebody that doesn't know anything about aviation. Again, the same airplane can come in, the same airplane can take off, and it's all under general aviation. So, but there's a lot of jobs that are there, and there's tax revenue that is generated there. Again, look at that video. I'm about jobs and opportunities. And maybe the commercialization, if it whatever happens, when my grandchildren would benefit from it to have jobs or whatever. Wayne.
Can I just make a comment?
Yes, sir.
While we're talking to all these people, let's make sure that they see the records when that airport that's up there now was voted down 2 different times by the residents of this county. It was not even supposed to be there, period. But it was built anyway, after the residents voted it down. Let's make sure these people know about that.
I can give you Jerry Sheridan the number if you want to complain to him.
I've done talked to Jerry about it. I mean, it was the crooked deal.
It wasn't Carmichael's board, Wayne.
And I'm not here to start no trouble, but it was a crooked deal. It was done solely against the voters of this county's wishes. It was against their voice when they voted no, we do not want it 2 different times. Now, I'm done with that. I would like to talk to who is he? Department of Transportation.
George Jones.
George Jones. No, he don't look nothing like George, and I bet he can't sing. I live off Benson Drive, which is off of Buchanan Highway, and it crosses 278. When I don't know who designed the intersection. There's one turning lane at that intersection. It's a bottleneck for Buchanan Highway. The only turning lane is a right turn lane if you're coming into Dallas off the west side. Can we check into getting that, something done with that? Because if you're going straight across, who's wanting to turn left's got to wait. And it's constant right there. I mean, it backs up from that red light down to the old hospital sometimes, in both directions. There's one turning lane. There's no left turn off of Buchanan on 278. No right turn off of Buchanan on 278. If you're coming out of Buchanan, you got one right-hand turn. If you want to go left and go that way, you got to sit and wait. If it's a mile long traffic, a left turn's got to wait out 3 or 4 red lights before he ever gets a chance to go.
I would say that, yeah, we do know that intersection, it needs more lanes. We actually have some prototype drawings that we've done for that. We've shown that to the city of Dallas, and you know, being that that is a state intersection and also in the Dallas city limits, we'd like to have some you know, buy-in from the city and the state on that project. So, but again, I agree, there's a need to do something there.
Well, now, 120 is a state highway also. Born and raised in this county, and as far as I know, it's always been State Highway 120. So.
Right, it's in the city limits and state highway.
Excuse me, I gotta go back to work. All I could say is, the airport is there, now let's use it to our advantage. And I'd like to talk to you if you see me running around.
You got it.
Thanks.
Lynn?
Yeah, for the water department, a lot of our utilities in Baldwin County have now gone to online billing. With the new office coming online and the new water system coming online, are we going to get online billing? Saving thousands and thousands of dollars in postage.
So, it's not going to be hard to stump me with a question about billing, customer service, those kind of things, because I'm usually in my office doing this. I'm installing pipes and pumps and tanks, but
I mean, you've got to be spending thousands of dollars every month mailing bills.
That's jobs.
Yeah.
That's jobs.
I know that there's been a lot of talk about online billing, and I just don't know how far in the future it is. It is in the plans, I just don't know how far.
Tabitha, would you mind commenting on that? Because we just had a conversation a couple days ago.
No, that's okay. That's all right. Yes, we are. You can access your billing online, assuming you know how to do that, correct? Now, you can go online, you enter your, I want to pay my water bill, and of course they are mailing you out a bill. That is, there's a few, we're trying to get more online, more 24/7 government. It's software is like anything else, it takes implementation, and we are trying to get there. You should see a lot of changes in the next 12 months. And one of those will be the ability to receive your bill online. Actually, I believe you can, I'll get you the information. I believe you can
I'll talk to you Tuesday.
get that now, yeah.
What else? Sue?
My name is Sue Wilkins. I'm one of the resident plaintiffs who is fighting the commercialization of the airport. Just a few points I want to make. One, the 4 post commissioners that opposed commercialization were voted into office because of that very reason, first and foremost. The citizens, the majority of the citizens spoke at the polls. They do not want a commercial airport because it would not only impact our quality of life, increase crime, increase traffic, but our taxes would go through the roof like you've never even dreamt they could do. Because even though the FAA and the Georgia DOT give grant money, you have to put up some skin in the game as well. So 10% of our taxes go into the money to support the projects. There are many projects that would not qualify for funding. So think long and hard. Everything that glitters is not gold.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
When you say you're against that, and they say general aviation, are you against general aviation
I am not against general aviation. None of us are. General aviation can handle general aviation planes, corporate jets. There's one up there now. I believe it's still up there now as a tenant in the corporate hangar. There's room for development, for business to come in. It's not happening for other reasons. Poor management, location, we don't have a highway close by, all kinds of things, okay? You need to realize that there's more than what meets the eye. We have been fighting this for over 4 years. And just one more thing I want to throw out that might hit home. When Brett Smith of Propeller Investments, in secret, did a contract with the Airport Authority and the IBA, in that contract he said a term of commercialization is that you have to lengthen the runway and the taxiway. So, but I want to use the taxpayers' dollars. Well, that was our first lawsuit. We went all the way to the Georgia Supreme Court. Unfortunately, they ruled against us. It changed the entire state. Now, tax dollars can be used for private business. At any rate, the reason we were fighting it is because it's too risky. There's no guarantee that the private investor will stay in the game. He could walk away at any time. We screamed as loud as we could, but we couldn't stop it. Well, guess what happened? That's exactly what he did a couple years ago. And now, guess who's paying that $3.6 million bond that lengthened and widened the taxiway? All of you, if you live in Paulding County. So you want to know why our budget is taxed as much as it is with projects that relate to that airport. They're also paying the IBA bond that they reneged on for the water tower that they unlawfully installed at the airport, the fuel farm they unlawfully installed, and the film studio that they unlawfully managed. So this is all part of our lawsuits. We are trying to protect you. So please, find out the facts before you decide it's a good deal. One more thing. First of all, I don't know about you, but if I was going to put in a hardware store, it would not be down the street from the world's busiest Home Depot, which is the case here. The plan of the Airport Authority, according to their court briefs that went to the Supreme Court, is they want to turn it into a regional hub. Do you have any idea how many flights that means? There's over 600 acres up there. There's plenty of room to expand. So if you don't want to be living like you're near Hartsfield, you better think twice. Now I lost my train of thought. Oh. I lost my train of thought.
Mr. Franklin.
How you doing? Just for those who don't know me, I'm Cord Franklin. I'm the pastor of Mount Olivet Missionary Baptist Church up in Yorkville, Paulding County. Just two quick questions. One, I think the gentleman said earlier that the majority of the residents of Paulding County voted down the airport twice. What is the population of Paulding County? And how many people actually voted? Because I don't think it was a majority of people in Paulding County. It's those who voted were the majority. Am I correct?
Typically 10 to 13% vote.
Okay, so in other words, it was not the majority of the residents, it was just the majority who voted that day.
The majority of the voters.
Now,
at the end of the day, when does it ever matter?
Okay, I'm not arguing with you. I'm asking a question.
Okay.
Because I want people to make sure when you leave here, you have the right information.
Okay.
So when you said the majority of the residents, it was just the majority of the folks who voted.
The majority of the voters.
Second thing is, you made a comment that the airport would make an increase in crime. Where do you get that statistic from?
Thank you.
Well, I believe crime is 7% higher around the commercial airport.
Okay.
Okay. So
Based on what statistics?
that's a statistic.
No, give me some references.
Off the top of my head,
Yeah.
I can't.
Well,
I'll
then
give you.
You
I will.
see what's going to happen? You're just throwing fear out there.
I'm not throwing it out.
That's talks of fear. You have to give statistics. Yes.
You know what?
Because you're going to see this on the news, and somebody's going to ask you why you stood up here and said that expanding the airport, commercializing the airport will bring in crime. Isn't that what you just said?
Yes.
And you made some reference to somewhere else. based on what statistics that expanding the airport brought crime.
I didn't make a reference to somewhere else.
I think it's a generalization. I think what she was trying to say, you bring in
No. Don't interject for her. Mr. Chairman, please don't allow him to do that. He's interjecting for her thoughts. She ran out of thought just like you heard her when she said it. So if she came prepared to address something, she should have some information. You're dealing with intelligent, intellectual people here. You don't just come and throw out a fear factor and expect people to just run around and say, oh my God, fear of what? That's what got her in the mess we're in today.
This is not her town hall meeting. This is his town hall meeting.
That's what I'm saying, but he allowed her to throw that kind of stuff out there with all any support to it. And he never called her short.
Hold on. I have
He
lots
should have
of...
put her in check when she started with looking at statistical information.
Sir,
Well, it's too late now.
sir,
It's too late now.
You're right, it's too late.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody's statements
But you're going to get out there.
in America are equal to anybody else's. You have the right to your opinion and the right to your stand. And I think the Board of Commissioners in this room can say that we're working together, even though we differ on different issues.
Thank you.
But we certainly don't want this to turn into a shouting match or anything like that. Again, I thank everybody for their ideas and taking the time to come out tonight and express those ideas. But, a lot of times to try to put the argument about that strip of concrete out west of town here called an airport, although there are many successful ones all over the United States, Pauley Countyans tend to be very passionate. I guess there are people in other counties that may be very passionate also, but you're passionate about your ideas and how you want things substantiated, and Ms. Wilkins is also. And so let's just be thankful that we live in a country. I want to give Kyle a couple of minutes because I met him on the phone a couple of days ago. He's an Army veteran, and it's not really about what any of our department heads can answer, but I think it's something we've all thought about here in the last few days in regards to the tragedy down in Florida. So you said 4 minutes?
4 minutes. I mean, we're talking about the safety of our kids. So.
Okay, all right.
All right, so my thing is I care about your kids, my kids. I want to be proactive. I don't want to be reactive. I don't want to wait till I'm burying my kid before we do something in this county. So what I want you to do, anybody watching, is to go to your school, go to your superintendent, and demand something to be done. We need veterans in these schools. We need police officers in these schools. We need metal detectors in these schools. We need security cameras in these schools. We need one entrance into every school. You can't get into any other door in any school. If you visit that school, you're escorted to wherever you gotta go. My idea is to somehow, the school system gets, like he said, 60% of our property taxes.
Exactly.
We rebudget whatever they're spending that on. Whether it's $2 million for a football field or they can play on grass. I played on grass. They don't even play on turf. We rebudget something. We even, if we have to, raise our property taxes a tad bit. We're talking about the safety of our kids, grandkids, neighbors, their kids, friends, your family. We're talking about our kids. We're not talking about a stupid road being built or a government building being built. We're talking about our kids. I want everybody to get to their superintendent, flood his phone, go to the schools, demand something be done. I've talked to Representative Graves. He's in the U.S. House. I talked to his assistant. I want to get legislation passed to where I think as of right now, only a police officer can have a gun on the school campus. I want to get it changed to where we could possibly hire veterans, pay them a livable wage because our veterans are homeless. They go serve our country. They come back. They have nothing. They have nothing to look forward to.
Man.
We give them a good job. We give them a job with a livable wage to protect our kids. We pay for it. I'm fine with it. Metal detectors, I looked, they're portable. They're $4,000 a piece. We have what, 30, or 25, 34, or something like that schools? 34 schools in our county. We put 2 metal detectors in each school. They're portable. You can take one to the high school fields, move one for the football games. Protect everybody at the football games. Like I said, I don't want to wait till one of us is burying our kids before we do something. Because once we're burying our kids, then we're going to act, we're going to do something, we're going to get firm, we're going to get something done. I'm not waiting. I'm not going to stop. And all I ask is for support to do exactly what I'm doing and get out there and get something done.
Gordon, you got a question for him?
Well, just stop to a comment because I really want to back him up. There was some questions going on politics and government today in the conversation, and someone actually talked about getting volunteers from either ex-police officer. I'm a former police officer, city of Atlanta for almost 30 years, so I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Actually, recognize you.
Here's the comment.
I work in Atlanta, so not that you've arrested me.
But, yeah.
It may look like I'm a criminal,
no,
but I'm really not a criminal.
Like I said, I support. Here's the comment I put on there. And it says that the Mount Olivet Church in Yorkville hosted a town hall meeting in Paulding County on February 2nd, 2018. Sheriff Gary Gullich was asked a similar question about school security and safety. Sheriff Gullich of the Paulding County Sheriff Department is very proactive concerning the safety of our schools. The idea of another town hall meeting would be great. The more we keep the conversation going, the more aware and on guard we will be. The idea of volunteer former police officers or military personnel may be another avenue to explore, along with the integration of cameras and metal detectors. So I agree wholeheartedly with you. We cannot put a value in the life of our children.
My thing is I don't want to look for volunteers to come into our schools to protect our kids. You got volunteers, they're going to come in there, they're not going to care about, you pay them $50,000, $60,000 a year with benefits, they're going to care about their job, they're going to care about our kids, and they're going to protect our kids. One more point I want to hit on. My wife and I have tried for 6 months to find a kid in this county to mentor. Come up with nothing. You can't find a kid to mentor. Take them on. Take them on vacation. Take them out to eat, make them feel a part of our family. Actually tried to find an African-American male to mentor. That's what we were looking for. I can't find one.
Surely I told him we would find
Let's work together.
You can't find them. I've called every school. I've called the Big Brother Sister Club of America. You can't find them. Our schools need to work with us to...
It's a housing authority director right there.
Right here. We have plenty of kids that you can come and mentor. We welcome mentors to come into our community.
My thing is I want to implement something with the schools, let's say like a mentor program where you can go up, fill out an application, say you want to be a mentor, and they run a background check on you, he clears the background check, then we find him a kid that suits him. We don't have that now. I call the school, they say call here. I call there, they say call here. I talk to the coach, and he's all...
Will you call me? And I'll make it happen.
My thing is not everybody in this county knows to call you.
Well, but I'm putting it out there.
Okay. Yeah. So, whoever's watching, the housing director?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Shirley Smith.
Shirley Smith, you can call her. But I also want to get something set up in schools to make it easier. That when somebody wants to get out and actually help our youth, they don't try for 6 months to know about.
She'll help you, all-star basketball player in high school, Paulding County High School. Athlete of the year.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to take the last few minutes, go back down this line, maybe through some of your questions. You thought of something else that you'd like to highlight. This guy right here has got so much continuity and background and history of Paulding County. He could talk for an hour himself on things that would be interesting, I think, to all of us. If anything come to mind, I know he got back from his mom's wedding in California, so you may have a little drowsy too.
No, just one thing I like, our employees are very dedicated. Whether they live here, whether they raise their kids here, or whether they work here, they're very dedicated. I've been very impressed to work with some great people. feel honored that he had a little role with the commission and the chairman and Frank. We're going to make Paulding County better. That's what we do every day when we come in. And I really enjoy coming to work. So I appreciate your comments. This is great feedback. We take it to heart. I think this venue is great. We should do more of them. And I appreciate everybody's coming out tonight. Thank you very much.
Get a bigger venue. Sad showing.
Let's start. Keep it going. Dave wants to continue this, and
I actually like this.
This is good. Some of the other commissioners have held those town hall meetings. I've held some previously to this. I like having all 5 of us here. I think it's a good thing. You start with a couple people show up. When we started tonight, there was a small handful, and through the evening, it's filled up. And I've been sitting here watching as some folks have come in, and it's filled up nicely. There were some recordings of this meeting going on. People see that we had a meeting. They'll see that there was good discourse, good discussion. Even when there was a little bit of disagreement, there's agreement on key points. And we can get along. Hold on a second. We can disagree without being disagreeable, right?
That's right.
I ask questions, you answer them. If I don't like it, I'll just disregard it.
So I'm excited about this. I think it's a great start. And as we hope, as we continue, as Dave continues to make this a priority in the administration, that we will require a larger venue, and more people would be coming in, and we would have to work harder and harder to find bigger and bigger venues. I think that'd be great. So this is a good start.
Frank? I'm just very pleased to be here. The energy, and I just want to say ditto to what Scott was saying. Every day Scott and I come in, and we feel the energy in the staff. And it's great to work with these folks, and work with the commissioners, and work with you as the constituents out there to get things done. We want to make government easier. We want to make it easier to come into Paulding County and do business with Paulding County. And so that's what we're doing. And it's going to take us a little bit of time. We've got to change the culture, the way that we've been doing things, and the expectation that the community has of us. We're working on that. And but we have a lot of energy to do that. We're there to make a difference. So it's great to be here, and look forward to future ones. Being here.
Yeah, just want to remind everybody about the Mount Tabor pressure zone. If you've got any questions about that, since you live in Post 1. I also brought flyers on the reservoir back here, informational flyers. If you've got any questions about the reservoir.
30-second update on the reservoir? I'd love to hear what's going on here.
Yeah, so right now they're saying mid to late 2019 on production of water. We're finishing up. They've just poured the dome roof over the top of our 6 million gallon clear well. So after the water passes through all the treatment train, and then before it is distributed out to the pipes and the distribution system, it's held in this clear well. So that's a huge advancement. So 6 million gallon clear well. I was just out there this morning. There's 6 big granular activated carbon tanks that are already standing up and being erected. They're in the process of building the dissolved air flotation treatment train process. So that's just another part of the process, but it's well underway. So
what about fast? What about fast? This is like at the start.
Oh yeah. So mid to late 2019 we'll be making water.
And again, it's another person who's got so much information, but it's pretty high level stuff with zoning and rezoning. And anybody know what a PRD is? Just they come to all our meetings.
When I ask a quick question, please?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I need to know about fencing, like fencing your yard, because Cobb County, when I lived there, they had rules about what kind of fence and stuff, so I need to know.
We don't require permits for fences over, I think it's 6 or 7 feet. So our zoning ordinance is kind of silent on fences. What we recommend folks do is to put your fence a few feet from the property line because you share your property line with another person, but we don't require any permits for them.
It doesn't matter what kind of fence, wire fence,
Check, if you're live in a subdivision, check with your HOA.
Okay.
Make sure
And
they may
the
have
quick
some
question is the tree that on the wire that coming to my house, who responsible for that?
Well, it depends on if it's on the right of way or if it's on private property.
Like you got limbs falling on the wire and stuff like that?
It depends where the tree is, you know, if we'll have to,
I work in like 40%, I don't want to say who I work for, but
So you're saying-
in the wires, it's George Pop.
you said there's a tree and it's on,
Okay, the tree is by the house, of course, but the wire coming from across the street and the wire going through the tree, I don't understand. If they didn't see that hazard, you know.
all right, like I said, I think, again, that's probably like to the power company issue too. We'll give you, you know, information, you can figure out what power company it is.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and like I said, I'd like to thank you for the questions that were asked. Like I said, definitely kept me on my toes. And, you know, at the Department of Transportation, what we try to do is, you know, provide the safest and most efficient transportation system possible. So, you know, if there are any questions or any concerns, just let us know and we'll try to answer and address your concerns as best as we can. Thank you.
I have one more question, and I'll shut up.
2 minutes.
The SPOS fund, that goes through commissioners, right? Is there any way that citizens can find out how much is generated through that SPOS fund and every penny that's is spent?
You have a question?
There is, SPOS, 1 penny brings in about 14 million a year. And that's split about 54, 57%, I'm sorry, quoting off the top of my head, my percentages might not be right, to DOT. Next is public safety, next in line is recreation, and then we have an economic development portion that is to install fiber into the ground for economic development purposes. 2 million of that goes to the cities. About roughly of that 14 million, 1.2 goes to the city of Dallas, and about 800,000 goes to the city of Hunt. Does that somewhat answer your
I
question?
just want to know, like, where could I go to find out?
Resources.
To actually see what, so my proposal was, of course, to hire guards at our schools, metal detectors, camera systems in every school. So where can I look at seeing what's being spent and seeing if we can take money here, take money there, before we go to raising maybe a millage rate on property taxes?
Those
Seeing
are,
what we need to.
the SPOS is done every 5 to 6 years, is what the renewals would be. The school has dedicated their entire ELOST to paying off debt from where they have built different facilities. I can't tell you exactly what they are, but they so that there's not any tax.
I just don't want to see any more facilities built, because at this point, this day in town, our kids' safety is more important than a new building.
The state tells us, well, you can't use SPOS or ELOST for operation, so I can't pay officers.
But we can, I know that, but we can use it for metal detectors.
Yes.
And we can use it for the camera systems, all the fiber that's ran to run the camera systems.
You could likely build that into the SPOS.
Then
What
to
has-
hire we could also use it to buy the firearms. Yeah, we can.
That gets.
We can figure it out.
Depends on the legal word.
You're talking about the
But
school
last-
system, ain't you?
Yes, sir,
All
Ms.
right,
Thomas.
the SPOS money has to go what the people voted for.
That's right.
You
So
can't take
the
money
time to
out of the
ask for
county
that
and
is
put
at
it in
renewal,
schools.
when it's going back to the
That's
county.
simple.
And those have just recently been approved in April of 2017. And both the school and the county, the SPOS and the ELOST go 6 years. So in 2022 or 2023, they'll be working on a plan for the renewal. And that would be the time to add the verbiage in that would allow.
I'm not waiting that long. I figured it's still another avenue, but.
Yeah,
that was my
that's
question.
kind of where it is.
You need to go through the Board of Education because the school tax is the highest tax we have in this county.
The Board of Education meets twice like we do, and I can tell you when that is. And I'll just go, you can have your time to speak there also. And like you said, I think you're talking to Vernon, 60% of your property tax goes to schools. So we don't really, we in the Board of Commissioners don't control, what is it, 30%? Our budget is about 30% of the overall property tax.
It's 18 to 31 is the school. So it's a little more than, it's not quite, just over 50% of your taxes go to the school system.
I thank everybody for being here. I don't mean to philosophize, but I tend to always want to go that direction for some reason. I take it. You know, we're different sexes in here, different colors. We have different interests, maybe go to different churches. But look at all things we have in common. And we do all live in Paulding County, and we all care about Paulding County. So I just encourage us as we leave to think more about what we have in common than just differences. In my family, we have some people that vote Democrat, some that vote Republican in the same family. So we're still in the same family. And I appreciate everybody's remarks tonight, and I really appreciate the staff and all they do to improve the quality of life of our citizens. We don't have enough time to go into all the details, but I just want to tell you how much I appreciate your all's involvement tonight. You could have been any number of places, just sitting on the couch watching the Olympics or whatever you'd like to do. So that's my final remark.
When's the next meeting?
That's the next meeting, and I just want to say, Chairman, I want to let everyone know this has been a great conversation. We're going to continue it. Our next town hall is May the 24th at Chattahoochee Tech, I'm sorry.
May 24th. Is it going to be at 7 or 6?
Yeah, we're going to change it to 7 to let people get home from work. I'd already made a mistake of putting this one 6, and it's already in the papers, so my mistake there. That's why I guess some people were coming in later. I get social media, man. Put it everywhere. So we're dismissed.